2012 Norwegian Air Shuttle, a tiny low-cost carrier that had been hours away from bankruptcy just a decade earlier, makes a stunning announcement. They're ordering over 300 brand-new aircraft from Boeing and Airbus in a deal worth $22 billion, the biggest aircraft order by a European low-cost carrier in history. But here's what makes this absolutely insane. Norwegian wasn't profitable. They were barely surviving. Yet they were planning to launch long-haul transatlantic routes with brand-new Boeing 787 Dreamliners, undercutting legacy carriers by 70% on ticket prices. They would destroy the competition through sheer aggressive expansion. Wall Street went wild. Aviation analysts called it visionary. The stock price tripled. Norwegian became Europe's hottest airline story, the David taking on Goliath. But financial experts noticed something terrifying. Norwegian was financing nearly 90% of this expansion with borrowed money. They were building an empire on debt, betting everything on explosive growth that had to continue forever or the entire structure would collapse. And then, it did collapse. Spectacularly. By 2020, Norwegian had fired 90% of their workforce. Their stock had plummeted 99%. The aircraft they'd ordered to destroy competitors were being returned to lessors, and the airline that was supposed to revolutionize aviation was begging for a government bailout just to survive. So how did Norwegian's $22 billion plan to dominate low-cost, long-haul travel turn into one of aviation's most catastrophic failures? To understand Norwegian's spectacular crash, you need to know they'd actually pulled off the impossible once before. In the early 2000s, Norwegian was a struggling regional carrier with just a few aging Boeing 737s flying domestic routes in Scandinavia. They were losing money, facing bankruptcy, and had no clear path forward. Then they copied Ryanair's playbook: ultra-low fares, secondary airports, no-frills service, charge for everything. By 2008, Norwegian had transformed into Europe's third-largest low-cost carrier, flying millions of passengers across the continent. Their success was remarkable. They'd proven that aggressive expansion and rock-bottom prices could work. They'd survived the 2008 financial crisis, and their CEO, Bjørn Kjos, became convinced they could replicate this success on a much bigger stage. In 2012, Kjos announced Norwegian's master plan. They wouldn't just fly budget routes around Europe. They would launch long-haul transatlantic flights, bringing low-cost service to routes dominated by legacy carriers charging premium prices. The vision was audacious. Fly from Europe to New York, Los Angeles, Bangkok, and Buenos Aires with fares so low that legacy carriers couldn't compete. Use brand-new Boeing 787 Dreamliners, the most fuel-efficient long-haul aircraft available. Undercut competitors by offering $200 transatlantic flights, while British Airways and Lufthansa charged $800. Wall Street and aviation analysts were mesmerized. Here was a carrier brave enough to challenge the established order. Norwegian announced orders for over 300 aircraft, a mix of Boeing 737 MAX jets for European routes and 787 Dreamliners for long-haul. The total value, $22 billion. But here's where Norwegian made their fatal mistake. They were financing almost all of this expansion with debt. Aircraft leases, bank loans, bond offerings. They weren't buying these planes outright. They were borrowing against future growth that absolutely had to materialize, or the entire strategy would collapse. Financial analysts began raising red flags. Norwegian's debt-to-equity ratio was astronomical. They were financing nearly 90% of their assets with borrowed money. This made them incredibly vulnerable to any disruption in growth, any increase in fuel prices, any unexpected crisis. But Norwegian's leadership dismissed these concerns. Growth would solve everything, they insisted, as long as they kept expanding, kept filling seats, kept undercutting competitors. The revenue would cover the debt payments. And for a few years it actually seemed to work. Between 2013 and 2017, Norwegian's expansion was breathtaking. They launched routes from London to New York for $200, Oslo to Los Angeles, Stockholm to Bangkok. They were opening new bases across Europe and the United States. Their fleet was growing by dozens of aircraft annually. Legacy carriers panicked. Norwegian was stealing their premium transatlantic passengers. Business travelers who used to pay $800 for a British Airways ticket could now fly Norwegian for a quarter of the price. The low-cost long-haul model appeared unstoppable. Norwegian's stock price soared. Investors who'd bought in early made fortunes. The airline was valued at billions. CEO Bjørn Kjos was hailed as a visionary disrupting a complacent industry. But behind the headlines, Norwegian was bleeding money at a catastrophic rate. The economics of long-haul low-cost flying are brutally difficult. Legacy carriers can subsidize unprofitable routes with revenue from business class, first class, and cargo operations. Norwegian had none of that. They were offering economy seats at rock-bottom prices with minimal additional revenue. Their load factors, the percentage of seats filled, needed to be extraordinarily high just to break even. But many of their new routes were experimental. Some worked brilliantly. Others were disasters, flying half-empty while burning millions in losses. The Boeing 787 Dreamliners they'd ordered were also causing problems. The aircraft was revolutionary in fuel efficiency, but also incredibly complex. Norwegian's maintenance costs were skyrocketing as they dealt with teething issues on brand-new technology. Engine problems grounded aircraft for weeks. Norwegian was paying for planes they couldn't fly. And then the Boeing 737 MAX they'd ordered started falling from the sky. In 2018 and 2019, two brand-new Boeing 737 MAX aircraft crashed, killing 346 people. Aviation authorities worldwide grounded the entire MAX fleet. Norwegian had ordered over 100 of these aircraft. Suddenly, planes they'd counted on for European expansion were sitting idle, unusable, while Norwegian still had to make lease payments. The MAX grounding was devastating, but it only exposed problems that were already terminal. Norwegian's debt burden had become unsustainable. They owed billions to aircraft lessors, banks, and bondholders. Their operational costs were higher than revenue. Every quarter brought hundreds of millions in losses. And Norwegian tried desperate measures to survive. They renegotiated debt terms. They sought new investors. They deferred aircraft deliveries. They cut routes that weren't working. Nothing worked. The fundamental problem was that Norwegian had built an empire on borrowed money, betting that growth would continue forever. But growth had stopped, and now the debt was crushing them. By late 2019, Norwegian was in crisis. Their stock price, which had peaked above $400, fell below $20. Credit agencies downgraded their debt to junk status. Aircraft lessors began demanding their planes back. Suppliers insisted on cash payment before providing services. Then came the final blow that would destroy everything. March 2020. COVID-19 devastates global aviation. Travel demand collapses overnight. Borders close. Flights are cancelled by the thousands. For Norwegian, already teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, this was catastrophic. Their revenue disappeared completely while their costs, especially debt payments, remained enormous. Norwegian had no choice. They grounded their entire long-haul fleet. They cancelled 85% of their flights, and in the most brutal move, they fired 90% of their workforce, over 7,000 employees, just to stay technically solvent. Let that sink in. The airline that spent $22 billion trying to destroy competitors through aggressive expansion had fired nearly their entire staff just to survive a few more months. The Norwegian government provided emergency loans, but with harsh conditions. Norwegian had to restructure completely, renegotiate all debts, and essentially start over as a much smaller airline. By 2021, Norwegian officially abandoned long-haul flying entirely. They returned their Boeing 787 Dreamliners to lessors. They cancelled remaining aircraft orders. The revolutionary low-cost Transatlantic service that was supposed to change aviation forever simply ceased to exist. Norwegian survived barely, as a small regional carrier flying short-haul European routes, exactly what they'd been before their disastrous expansion. But the airline that emerged was a shadow of what Bjørn Kjos had envisioned. The stock, once worth hundreds, traded for pennies. Investors who'd believed the hype lost everything. Think about this disaster. Norwegian spent $22 billion ordering over 300 aircraft to dominate low-cost long-haul travel. They fired 90% of their workforce. Their stock collapsed 99%, and they ended up right back where they started, flying budget routes around Europe. Today, Norwegian's failure stands as one of aviation's most expensive lessons about the dangers of debt-fueled growth strategies that have no margin for error. Because Norwegian forgot something fundamental about the airline industry. Growth for growth's sake doesn't create value. Expansion financed almost entirely with borrowed money is a catastrophic risk, and strategies that require absolutely everything to go perfectly will collapse the moment anything goes wrong. Norwegian's low-cost long-haul model wasn't necessarily bad. Several airlines have made it work sustainably. But Norwegian tried to grow too fast, borrow too much, and expand too aggressively without the financial cushion to survive inevitable challenges. Legacy carriers they were trying to destroy had decades of built-up reserves, diversified revenue streams, and financial flexibility. Norwegian had none of that. They had debt, ambitious plans, and a belief that explosive growth would solve all problems. When the Boeing 737 MAX was grounded, Norwegian couldn't absorb the loss. When COVID hit, they had no reserves to weather the storm. Their entire strategy depended on nothing ever going wrong, and when it did, everything collapsed. The airline that spent $22 billion trying to revolutionize aviation ended up proving that in the airline industry, sustainable growth beats aggressive expansion, financial discipline beats ambitious dreams, and debt can destroy even the most exciting success stories. Norwegian didn't just fail to destroy their competitors, they destroyed themselves instead.